y'all. Yeah, right. He said, Mr. Fat Joe talks about everything except for what he did to Big Pun's family. Ha ha! That's a sorry motherfucker right there, that Fat Joe. That he called us a bunch of broke niggas. Come on in here. This is a Q&A follow-up. I was rude earlier. I talked to you guys, but I didn't listen to you guys and hear what y'all had to say. I didn't read you guys' comments. I think I'm going indica tonight. No, yeah. And I didn't talk back with you guys. So I want to have a Q&A, see what y'all talking about. I haven't done a late night Q&A in a while. So I want to talk to y'all real quick. What's up, Evan? What's up, Fresco? Yeah, appreciate that, Go-Go. Dano Williams, appreciate y'all. I just been listening to New Edition and Johnny Gill. Ha-ha. I won't be your fair weather friend. Be there to the end. Even through stormy weather. If you're in LA, come out to the Hidden History Museum. I'm gonna be hosting Cracking Jokes tonight. Let me hit that love button right there. Appreciate that, Go-Go. Yeah, Blaze one for the nation. What's up, Spirit Wonder? Yeah, I turned off the BB King. When you saw me on Twitter, I turned off the BB King to come in here and kick it. Hey, man, I like to walk through my neighborhood at night. You know, clears your mind to walk through your environment and feel your environment out. I was listening to some BB King. Paid the cost to be the boss. I drink when I wanna. Play a little poker too. As long as I'm paying all the bills. I don't want to hear no talk about the way I live. You must be crazy, baby. Girl, you must be out of your mind. As long as I'm footing the bill. I love that song by BB King, Paying the Cost to Be the Boss. What's up, DSB? So to everybody. Oh yeah, Bobby Blue on Friday night. Yeah, that is not a bad choice. I'll listen to some BB King. I'll listen to some Albert King. Yeah. But those of you in here, go and watch the video earlier on Fat Joe trying to talk shit about black Americans. Called us a whole bunch of broke asses. Oh yeah, Don't Answer the Door. I was playing that shit too. Don't Answer the Door. He said, look, if your mama wants to come over, tell her to come about the break of day. But that's too early, baby. So tell her to please stay away. BB King told the girl's mama to stay away and don't answer the door. He said if you're sick, nigga, don't answer the door for the doctor. He said, nigga, tell her to please stay away. Your sister, that's a cold ass song right there. Ain't nothing going on in hip hop that wasn't going on in the blues. Nothing. Oh, yeah, change your mind? Yep. What's up, good Mark Anthony? I got a new, for those of you in LA, I got a new live music show that I'm gonna start in LA. March. I'm gonna be at the Hidden History Museum tomorrow doing comedy. Talking about I'll be sure the light skinned niggas. I'll be sure is a light skinned nigga captain. I'll be sure is a team captain for light skinned niggas. Every light skinned nigga defers to Al be sure before he makes a decision. I think like all light skinned niggas, especially light skinned niggas between the ages of 50 and 62, man, 50 to 65, them niggas, they all play I'll be sure before they make a decision. Wanna get up the phone, girl? They wanna get up the phone. Then they be like, okay, I'm making a decision. Well, I think about that Dre and Stupid album. I love that Missionary album. I've seen East Coast niggas hating on that shit. Man, I love that Missionary album. My man Mel Beats, he did a couple of the tracks. Missionary is a dope ass album. It's good music. Sonically. It's good music. But one thing I've noticed really since over the last 15 years, since Drake, Chris Brown, and all that sound got to the top, good music with melody, sophistication, just is not appreciated the way it's just not. The people have been so conditioned on auto-tune, on programmed loop beats, on that future sound, that and Metro Boomin. Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with none of that. But too many black people have been conditioned to, unfortunately, and I think it's unfortunate. Let me scoop this shit up. I think it's unfortunate. Cool shit, dropping ashes. Too many black people have gotten conditioned on that tick, 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 boom sound. Tick, tick, boom, tick, tick, boom, tick, tick, boom. If you do something outside of the tick, 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 boom sound, you put melody and harmony and changes and pocket and groove. Those elements that actually make music. It's just not appreciated these days. What's up, Black Voltron? Do I watch your rap battles? No, I do not watch rap battles. Hell no. See, you have a question. I want you to identify a song for me because the only person I can think of. What song is that, Khalil? What song is that? But yeah, we live in a world now to where the palette of too many black Americans musically, it just isn't diverse anymore. Like, I have an issue when I go to see Anderson .Paak or Kamasi Washington. When I go to hear them play jazz, I have so many others in the room, and we're there, but not to the level we should be when it comes to our rhythm and blues singers, when it comes to our jazz artists, when it comes to our rappers that do more than a tick, 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 boom sound. So, like, Dr. Dre gave us music. Appreciate that, Last Guy King. Dr. Dre gave us good music. And when I listen to some of the people complaining about it, I'm like, what are you complaining about? That's good music. It's mature. Snoop is talking about shit a grandfather would talk about, or somebody who's lived life. He's not talking about that bullshit. He's talking about putting your money to the side. Snoop is really giving wisdom in that album. He's dropping a lot of wisdom from someone who's been around the world a few times. Yeah, James Brown used to get radio play. They don't even play, like, think about it. They don't even play James Brown on the radio no more. Think about that for a second. James Brown is played every single day through his samples. Well, you say Dr. Dre could have done better. What do you mean? Sonically, that stuff was amazing. It was hella layered. Dre left a lot of Easter eggs in those tracks. Sounds that you probably won't hear until your 50th or 100th time hearing those songs. He left a lot of Easter eggs. But back to the James Brown part. James Brown is played every day in rhythm and blues and house music and rap through samples. But they don't even play James Brown on the radio no more. What world are we living in? I don't know rapper Little Sody, so I wouldn't be able to. He said leaving it. I don't know that song, Khalil. I'd have to hear that song, brother. And I'm not near my computer to play a song. Email me, info@DwannB.com, and I might be able to give you an answer. And I could probably play it when I'm not here. Even on the soul stations, you don't hear James Brown. Like, how do you not? James Brown literally, James Brown turned the direction of music. Like, there are certain people who did great. James Brown was one of those rare things. He not only changed the direction of music, he also had the sales. He had both. There are a lot of people who changed the direction of music who don't have the sales. You know, but James Brown had the sales and the number ones doing doo-wop, and then he literally created a genre that still. He created the genre that gave hip hop his dance track. He created a genre that gave Michael Jackson his dance track. And the world, the dance track. And to not play, see, that's how they erase us out of history. The same way, think about it. As deep as I am into music and music history, I didn't really find out about Louis Jordan until I was in my 30s. And I'm pretty good with music from the 50s and stuff like that. And I didn't really get really up on game until I saw a documentary on a James Brown documentary. See, let me give y'all a secret to how I trace things, all right? And this isn't a secret because I believe in sharing knowledge and sharing information. It doesn't have to be a secret. One issue we've had as a people is we've kept too many secrets, and us not talking and sharing freely is what caused a lot of information to die. Because we've had such a traumatic experience on this land, we don't share freely. And that's something that we as a people have to change culturally. People don't share freely. I share freely because knowledge is infinite. If I share with you, that's not taking from me. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't share freely. They want to hold secrets or they want to wait and be the forebearers of knowledge and be like, hey, I'm the one that knows everything about this. Da, 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 da. Ego, dickhead shit. But let me give you a little game on how to trace things. You watch people's biographies, you listen to artists' biographies, and you listen to them tell you who they listen to. And that's a way to trace lineage in music. Because your inspiration is what you play. There's steps to there's evolutions in the creative process. The first step in the creative process is imitation. And once you imitate, you synthesize and then learn to create. But the first step in creation is imitation. That's why Michael Jackson, when he was 10, 11 years old, was imitating James Brown and Sammy Davis Jr. And then he evolved that into his own thing. I've been seeing like a lot of people talk about Michael Jackson, and much as I love Michael Jackson, like when people talk about Chris Brown, they be like, "Oh, that started with Michael." No, it did not start with Michael, and I love Michael, but Michael Jackson would be insulted if you said it started with him, because you know what Michael Jackson would first say? You got to go to James Brown. You got to go to James Brown. But do you know who James Brown went to? James Brown learned a lot of his moves from the preachers at church. A lot of those James Brown moves was church moves, stuff that he saw in church. And the popular artist that really turned James Brown on was Louis Jordan. Little Richard too. Little Richard and Chuck, like their sound too. But Louis Jordan was before them. Louis Jordan was before. See, they tell you now about Little Richard and Chuck Berry because Little Richard and Chuck Berry is who the white people listen to. It was no different then like it is now. You have black artists that cross over to the white folks, and then ones that was more of a black sound. Little Richard and Chuck Berry were the Lionel Richies of their day, the John Legends. Look at Chuck Berry the way you would look at John Legend. You see how like John Legend had did a couple albums for us, but the last 15 years, John Legend's been mostly for them. That was Little Richard and John Legend. That was Chuck Berry and Little Richard. They were the John Legend, the Lionel Richie. In today's world, someone like The Weeknd, but I don't. The Weeknd is not us. They just totally The Weeknd, Drake. They just totally slap in our face. Those two. Louis Jordan was who the niggas listened to. James Brown got a lot of his stuff from Louis Jordan. Louis Jordan was the artist for the black folks. He's who the niggas listen to. The white folks listen to Chuck Berry. And we listen to some Chuck Berry, don't get me wrong. We listened to some Fats Domino, and we did. But black people like Louis Jordan. But you see, Louis Jordan has all but been written out of music history when Louis Jordan is the first king of R&B. You dig what I'm saying? A half hog, half man. Your mama looked like Vera DeMilo on In Living Color. Hey, Miles, anybody get that guy unfunny jokes? People have one unfunny joke, second unfunny joke, 186 K second timeout. So if you crack a joke, bitch, you better be funny. Fat Joe said your mama got 3 titties, Mega Man. That's what Fat Joe said. He said Mega Man James' mama got 3 titties. 3 titties and 2 nipples. And her nipples is on the left and the middle titty. The right titty ain't got no nipple. That's what Fat Joe said. Your mama got 3 titties and 1 nipple. The bitch shouldn't live under power lines, nigga. What's up, Dubs? Drunk PC Corner. Much respect. So, but look up Louis Jordan. Like, here's the thing about it. If you look at cartoons from the 1950s, it's Louis Jordan. In the 1960s, I played it earlier on my show, Tom and Jerry. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. That was literally a Louis Jordan song. And Louis Jordan didn't get any royalties from it. He's like, I saw what's on the TV on the ad and you got mad. Damn. So, but my grandmother, I remember my grandmother used to, like when I used to watch Tom and Jerry, my grandmom would say, oh, that's Louis Jordan. But in 1985, in 1988, there was no internet to go look up who Louis Jordan was. But my grandmother used to tell me, like, they used to play that song when she was young. Is you is or is you ain't my baby. But in the 80s, we didn't have the internet to go look it up. And if your grandmama didn't have the actual record there, you couldn't play it yourself. So I wasn't really up on game on Louis Jordan until I saw a James Brown documentary, and James Brown talked about Louis Jordan's influence. That's how you trace music lineage. Even when it comes to these tethering Jamaicans like Pete Rock. Pete Rock will try to say, okay, hip-hop is Jamaican, but ask Pete Rock who he samples. What does Pete Rock call himself? He calls himself Soul Brother of Hip-Hop. He's inspired by who? James Brown. So if you want to trace the lineage of hip-hop, trace who they listen to. It's not just, let me take back, not just hip-hop, all music. White music, one thing about them white artists from the 70s and the 60s and the 80s, they're very honest. I got to give them credit. The beat, do you know how I found out, even though I can hear it with my ear, do you know how I found out the Bee Gees were just a white imitation of the Stylistics? Because they said so themselves in their own documentary. You watch the Bee Gees documentary, they say that they were trying to sound like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and it didn't work. When they were trying to sound like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, it did not work for the Bee Gees. But when the Bee Gees changed their sound up to sound more like the Stylistics, Blue Magic, the Philadelphia sound of the early 70s, that's when the Bee Gees took off. So when you listen to songs like Too Much Heaven, it sounds like Bet You By Golly Wow, because those white boys are literally trying to sound like the Bee Gees. I mean, the Stylistics. You listen to Elton John, Elton John's going to talk to you about Muddy Waters, Little Walter, the Chess record sound, the Beatles, Mick Jagger, from the Rolling Stones. They're all going to point, when it comes to the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, the Elton John, Eric Clapton, that whole class, they're all going to point to Chess Records, Little Walter, Howlin' Wolf. You just got to trace the lineage of the people who made the music and keep going back. You listen to Dave Grohl talk. Dave Grohl talks about some of those flams he was doing on the drum. Dave Grohl said he got that from listening to the Gap Band. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers talks all day about Larry Graham, Bootsy Collins, Sly and the Family Stone, Earth and the Fire, and Parliament Funkadelic. That's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Kurt Cobain. He was a roadie for Tina Bell. Tina Bell all comes from the Jimi Hendrix sound. Jimi Hendrix comes from Muddy Waters. All you got to do is just keep going back. And the further back you go in the lineage of an artist by listening to them talk, you're going to find a black person every time. That's how you trace history and trace lineage of music. So when people like Pete Rock say hip hop is Jamaican, okay. First question is, okay, who are you sampling the most? James Brown. Ends the discussion. Yeah, white people did teach blacks how to read. White people taught black people how to read bullshit. We tend to be honest with one another. So we needed white folks to come around and teach us how to read some bullshit. So thank y'all, white folks, because we as a people, we're very naive. We tend to believe what people say because we're very honest people. We're honest brokers. We tend to mean what we say. We don't generally bullshit. So I want to thank that commenter that said white people taught black people how to read. You're right. Y'all taught us how to read bullshit. Yeah, what's up, B1 Business? So what other questions y'all got? Did I miss any questions? What questions y'all got? And white people were taught English. We think white people taught themselves how to read English. Go back. All you got to do when it comes to England, read a book called Ancient and Modern Britons. All the original aristocracy of England was black. The aristocracy, the leadership of England was black until what? The DwannBrown rebellion was the 18s to 1620s, 1650s. The monarchy in England was black until like the 1650s. And it stayed black. Queen Victoria was black. And she was around in the 1780s. The original Queen Elizabeth was swarthy, was originally referenced as a swarthy skinned woman. The first Queen Elizabeth was swarthy. Yeah. The Dwann Rebellion, yeah. The Jabrons were black. Last name Stewart, black. Last name McDuffie over in Ireland. In Ireland, black. Name Blake, black. The name Black, black. So one thing y'all don't want to do, y'all Anglo-Saxons, is to teach me to teach you motherfuckers the history of England. That's one thing y'all don't want to do. Your little small dicks will really shrink up. If you want to know the history of the brother that created the drum set, go to my documentary. It's over on my other channel. I can teach you. It's better over there to watch it so you can see what I'm talking about and explain it as a drummer. On incense and ashtrays. My documentary's up on incense and ashtrays and how we invented the drum set. Why do I think people like disrespecting black Americans? Partially because black people allow it. They know how powerful we are, but we tend to allow the disrespect. So that makes them feel powerful. You gotta realize everybody wants to feel powerful. And the quickest way to feel powerful is to stand on somebody else's shoulders. And a lot of black people make it real easy. They bend over so others can stand on our shoulders. So they're very comfortable disrespecting us. Because after they disrespected us, look what's gonna happen. Charlemagne the God's not gonna say anything. You're gonna get a black lady in the middle panelist Andrew Schultz, and she's going to be just goofy and giggling. And then the next week, you're going to get one of the biggest names in Black America, 50 Cent, to come and co-sign you. That's why people feel comfortable disrespecting us, because they can. And because there'll be a lot of niggas that will allow them to, that will fight another black person to allow that other group to disrespect us. What's up, Erica Carroll? Run it up. Appreciate that, Bella. So yeah, people feel comfortable disrespecting us because we allow it. And look at Fat Joe has been running wild with this lie now since 2020. Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes, Pete Rock, Crazy Legs, they've been running with this and they haven't been checked. Think about that for a second. That's a good thing. Marvelous Tracks do a live review of Fat Joe's new album. Oh my God, I don't know if I can sit that long. Oh my God. Well, I might do that. I might do that. I might do a Fat Joe review album. I might do that. That's a good idea. But as a people, what was I just saying before? Because that was actually a good idea to do a review on Fat Joe's album. I might do it. D. Chris said, let you know, in New York City is the softest major city in the country. You might be right. You might be right. New York might be the softest major city in the country. Nobody checks Fat Joe. New York City, especially Brooklyn, seems to be a place where the people are more interested in fighting each other than helping us all get ahead. Fat Joe, I don't know if he's a government informant or not, but I'll tell you this. He does work for Jay-Z. And Jay-Z's boss, Desi Perez, she got that government file. Fat Joe works for Desi Perez and Jay-Z. See how that works? How do I know that? Because Fat Joe works for Rock Nation. Look up Rock Nation's roster of artists. You're going to see Fat Joe. Go look it up. Go look it up. When I put my hoodie on, go to Rock Nation's website, and you'll see Fat Joe right there. It's cold in LA. It's cold. What's up, G? Yeah, Spirit One. I talked about that earlier. Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. Yeah. Yeah. So, Lord Jamal called out Math Half for good. So, But look, name one prominent hip hop. This is why I don't really. I'm cool with hip hop, but out of all of the music that we've created as a people, out of the big music, I have the least respect for hip hop. Out of all the music we created, from jazz to disco, and I don't even like disco that much. Like disco, to me, disco's like whatever to me, you know. But out of all the great music we created, from house to disco to funk, jazz, country, I have the least amount of respect for hip hop. And let me tell you why I have the least amount of respect for hip hop. Hip hop took from everything. Do you know what hip hop is? If you understand essay structure, book structure, you got your introductory paragraph in the essay that introduces the topics that you're going to talk about. Then you have to write a paragraph to support what you explained in the introductory paragraph. The introductory paragraph to black music is the blues and jazz. And there's stuff before blues and jazz, but it wasn't recorded, so we didn't hear it. Once those artists died, the music left. So we're talking about in recorded music history. Blues and jazz is an introductory paragraph. And then when you get to rhythm and blues, that's its own. Rock and roll is a paragraph. Rhythm and blues is a paragraph. Then from there, they begat, funk and disco. Those are paragraphs. And then you get to your conclusion paragraph in an essay. In the conclusion wraps everything that was said in the essay and explained. The conclusion ties in the introductory paragraph to the end of the essay. And it wraps up all of the points made in what went on between the introductory paragraph and the conclusion paragraph. Hip hop rap is the conclusion paragraph in the 100-year book, in the 100 years of recorded American music. Hip hop is the conclusion paragraph. It ties in the jazz, the blues, the rhythm and blues, the funk, the disco, through samples, through writing sentence structure, through using double, triple, quadruple entendres. In all those ways, it ties in. And that's hip hop. Hip hop cannot exist at all without everything that came before it. Why? Because hip hop did not create its own soundtrack. It borrowed from everyone else. When disco said, okay, I got all the R&B, I'm gonna keep the R&B, singing structure, but I'm gonna change the beat. I'm gonna put 4 on the floor, lift the hi-hat on the end, speed the tempo up, and create my own sound over here. Funk said, thank you, R&B, but I'm gonna slow this down, put it on the 1. Take the jazz elements of improvisation and the music format of R&B and create my own thing over here. Hip hop just said, he said Florida Boy J gave me, is that FBJ, Florida Boy J? I fucks with Florida Boy J. I didn't know he listened to my show. I fucks with Star and I fucks with Florida Boy J. I like listening to Florida Boy J every time he calls in. For a long time, him, And I like listening to him when Rory calls in. Rory's a racist ass pig white boy, but that motherfucker funny. I'm an asshole. I can listen to a racist. I can tolerate a racist as long as they funny. And Rory is funny on Star. Oh, that's what's up. Salute to Florida boy Jay. I didn't know you listen to me. But hip hop is the thing. It didn't create its own thing. Rapping been around. Sampling been around. Looping a 2-bar beat been around. All that been around. DJing been around. Graffiti been around. All that been around. Hip hop just kind of tied it all in together. Beautifully, by the way, between its inception and 1996, especially, with emphasis. I'll go to 98 because that's DMX. But I'll really say 96. It tied it all in. Hip hop is now trying to make it seem as if it's the book and not the conclusion of the book. Hip hop, you're not the fucking book. You're the conclusion. You're the summation. You're not the shit. You're not. So that's the first reason why hip hop is my least respected form. Because of how they handle themselves. Hip hop isn't humble. It's a brat, bitch ass child that doesn't respect its parents. And I don't fuck with people who don't respect their parents. If you don't not in all situations, there are exceptions, but generally, you got somebody that don't fuck with their parents or an adult, some kind of the person that nurtured them, whoever that was in their life that nurtured them, and hip hop is very nurtured. You're a wild card. You're the kind of person that'll probably do anything, and no disrespect. But if you don't respect whatever nurtured you, what do you respect? If you can't respect what nurtured you, what can you respect? Think about that for a second. Just on a spiritual level. If you can't respect who and what nurtured you, what on earth can you respect? So that's the second reason. First and second reason why hip hop is my least. Here's my next reason. It's the least, and I say this, and I want you to hear me very clearly when I say this, because what I'm about to say can easily be misconstrued. It's our least innovative form of music, least creative. It's creative in taking pieces and putting it together like a puzzle. It's definitely creative in that way. But musically, it's very regressive. It doesn't have the components that really require an artist to really pull out their extreme genius. If you notice, the best hip hop producers like Dr. Dre can produce R&B and other stuff. You know, a lot of these guys come from jazz. Those are the best ones. But hip hop is kind of a boxed in, looped, repetitive thing. It's a pocket, but it takes away layers. orchestration, the instrumentation. And here's the reason why I say this is important. I'm not saying this as an old grumpy man. I respect hip hop for what it is. Everything isn't supposed to be melodic, and I get that. I get that. Everything, I believe in diversity and variety, so please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Those elements are what makes us relax, if you dig what I'm saying. They bring in community. Hip hop is more of a war chant. Because if you know it's a war chant, if you notice any war chant from any indigenous tribe, it's a repetitive loop. That's a war chant. Hip hop is meant to destroy and cause war, and it's necessary. But if you hopped up on war chant all day, how can you relax for your lady? How can you chill and calm down? And all I'm saying is when you bring in violin, strings, a bridge, an intro, a conclusion, a coda, and these elements in music, you bring in more life to give your life more life. And hip hop took a lot of that stuff out because it's not, in a lot of ways, it's not supposed to have that. And so I appreciate hip hop for what it is. But what you're getting is a lot of people that think that just because they had a few hit records in hip hop, they think that they're the story. No, you're fucking not. And nah, yeah, there are some DJ Quick songs you can relax with your lady. Yes, he gives you 2 songs an album, but no. I love DJ Quick, one of my favorite all-time people ever, artists ever. But even his most relaxed songs they don't compare to the relaxation of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I hope that we can be together soon. Of Al Green, Have You Been Making Out Okay? Of Smokey Robinson, Quiet Storm. You know, it's just there's levels to this. It's levels to this. All right? So, yeah, the originals, Baby, I'm For Real. Snoop Dogg got some relaxing shit too. Gotta Have a Girl Like You. I love that shit. Gotta have a girl like you. Gotta have a girl like, and that's my shit. That Girl with Snoop and Pharrell. Oh, I love that shit. But it doesn't compare to Barry White, Midnight and You. Capiche? So, yeah, Let's Get Blown, all that. So, I get hip hop, but now the reason, well, ultimately, all those other reasons wasn't enough for me to put hip hop on the bottom. This is what helped me, what made me, by my duty, have to put hip hop on the bottom. Hip hop isn't defending black culture right now. Hip hop is allowing Fat Joe, Busta Rhymes to run wild. Where's hip hop? Who of note? What's up, Jay Jemison? Who of note is defending the originals, stylistics, Johnny Guitar Watson? Because this is where you got it from, nigga. Who's defending the Temptations right now? Who's defending Miles Davis and B.B. King? Who's defending Parliament? These niggas be in the studio with George Clinton. And you letting Fat Joe say you got it from fucking Puerto Rico? So ultimately, that's why I have the least amount of respect for hip hop. Hip hop is taking so much, but it doesn't honor what it's taken from. It doesn't defend. I appreciate that Zip says, yeah, I'm doing my best, but hip hop needs an artist. See, the people saying hip hop is Latino that are trying to whitewash hip hop are the artists. The artists are always going to have a bigger voice than us. Always. And let me tell you why I don't defend it. See, the reason bebop was created was because swing had gotten too whitewashed. A lot of music had gotten whitewashed. So Max Roach, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, they said we're going to have to make a music that's so great, white people can't take it, and we're going to name it bebop, and we're going to let everyone know this is a black art. And they defended it. Abby Lincoln, to the day she died, defended jazz. So while black people done moved on from jazz, and now you got David Sanborn, and no disrespect to him, and Boney James, and Kenny G, the reason why I got to really know jazz is black is because the forefathers of jazz are the ones that said it. When I watched those documentaries on jazz, it was Abby Lincoln talking about how we create things and they take it. It was all of those, it was Miles Davis talking about, I can hear when the white boys playing because they just ain't got it. That's why I know jazz is black, because the forefathers of jazz told me. So when 16-year-old Dwann was watching documentaries on this fucking music that I love, the people who made it was telling me it was black. That's how the fuck I know. What do these kids get when they watch hip-hop documentaries? They get KRS-One, Dougie Fresh, Pete Rock, Fat Joe saying hip-hop comes from elements out of Jamaica. And not one nigga who ain't never been to Jamaica in his motherfucking life say nothing. Think about that. Think about that. Especially here on the West Coast. We ain't got no Jamaican influence. Ain't no Jamaicans out here. Another West Coast sound is not Ohio. Sit your ass down. West Coast was doing funk before Ohio. Learn your music history. West Coast got on funk in 1967. Ohio didn't get on funk until 1971. Sit your ass down and respect the West, nigga. But I do got to call out my West Coast artists for not stepping up and telling Fat Joe to sit his ass down, because ain't none of you niggas got nothing from Jamaica. You got that shit from your aunties and uncles. You don't even know how to spell Kool Herc's name right. This person said, no, my brother, Kool Hurt. This nigga put H-U-R-T. You don't even know how to spell Herc's name. And do you know where the word cool came from? It came from motherfucking Lester Young, nigga, a black jazz musician. Sit your ass down. He couldn't even name himself like a Jamaican. Kool Herc's name is literally Black American. His moniker, I should say. He didn't call. Now, you know what? Do you know what would make hip hop Jamaican? if Cool Herc called himself Bumbleclot Hurt. If he was DJ Bumbleclot Hurt, then yeah, okay. And then black American DJs started calling himself Blood Clot Brown, you know, Jerk Chicken Jimmy Jam, then yeah, hip hop would be Jamaican. Nigga, if that nigga's name was Bumbleclock Hurt, then yeah, all right. But he called himself Cool Herc. You're right. Not what's up, 100% riding. Not Curry Herc, nigga. He ain't called himself Curry Hurt. Nigga, we call that shit. We don't call this shit ganja unless we imitating Bob Marley, nigga. And nigga, we call this shit, nigga. Dr. Dre called his album The Chronic, not The Ganja. You dig? If Dr. Dre's album was The Ganja, then yeah. Okay, yes, it's a lot of Jamaican in that shit. His shit was called The Chronic. Ooh. You're right. Lord Jamar can't be the only one. Ice Cube, you want us to buy your album, and I got his album, but I can't even call out Ice Cube because Ice Cube at least tried that. I can see why Ice Cube was discouraged. He did that plan for Black America, and you niggas called it the Trump Platinum Plan and didn't even pay attention to that. So I get Ice Cube. After what happened in 2020, I get why Ice Cube was like, man, fuck y'all. But I mean, Dre, Snoop, Kendrick, Short, where y'all at? Like, those of us out here on the grassroots, we can use your help. You got everything from the funk. Who in hip hop with a name is going to speak out against Fat Joe? Why the fuck is any? There's nothing why I don't respect hip hop. All this gangster, tough boy shit. If you're gonna tell the whole truth, a lot of hip hop is just a whole bunch of homoerotic, homo thug bullshit. Niggas that's just tough for niggas. For you to be a whole bunch of tough ass niggas, y'all surely scared of Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes. Who the fuck is these niggas? Who the fuck are they to be? Why is hip hop just allowing these niggas to talk? I get you. Photo said these dudes don't know the history. I hear that, but here's what this is what makes it sad for the person that said they don't know the history, because you're right, they don't know their history. What makes it sad is everything on hip hop is based in history. You sample so much. How do you not take a little bit of time to get to know who you sampling? And for those who do know who you're sampling, how do you not defend them? Your whole career was undergirded by your grandmama's and your mama's music. How do you not defend that? Have you no fucking honor? How do you not honor that? Right, it's like G-Funk came from Puerto Rico. It's like, such a clear lineage. It's such a clear lineage. It's like, it's clear. From the themes and the music, go look at a Johnny Guitar Watson album cover and tell me that's not hip hop. Yeah, he's in a suit, but Johnny Guitar Watson has one album cover with him around, with three ladies around him, and this nigga is in like a little fake little Cadillac. Johnny Guitar Watson used to take pictures posing on Cadillacs and Rolls Royces like hip hop. Go look at Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul and tell me that's not hip hop. Bald head, sunglasses on, gold chain. He's even rapping on hyperbolic delic SB Alidicious. He's even rapping. I mean, everything hip hop come from your mama and your granddaddy. And nobody in hip hop is talking. And this is a challenge to all the hip hoppers out there. Is it worth it? I'm gonna tell a quick little story because it feels like I think this is a good time to say it. In my offline life, I'm just gonna say in my offline life, I just got contracted to conduct an anti-black racism training and ongoing conflict resolution with one of the biggest unions in the country that's had a long history of systemic racism. They, right before we initially were going to do the deal, they looked up my social media and they see how I talk. And anybody who follows, who's a Facebook friend of mine or a Twitter friend of mine, I talk a lot of shit. And I talk very black. And they questioned me about what I said online. And I can really use this contract because with this contract, it'll solidify my online business as extremely AAA rated, because if I can take on this job with a place this reputable, known around America, bruh, I'm gonna be able to write my ticket. So 5 months ago, I was at a crossroads. Do I acquiesce and back down for the money? Or do I stand on my principle because I know at the end of the day, nothing I say is hateful. Everything I say is in love. I love black people. And if saying something that's going to lift our spirit hurt somebody else, then they're going to have to deal with that. That's not my concern. I'm tired of black people always having to take the short end of the stick so other people can feel good. So I had a fucking choice. And I need the fucking money. Do I back down or do I stand 10 toes down? And I told them, monitoring my social media, I can't do business with you. If you're gonna monitor my social media and how I feel, my training seminars that I have on anti-black racism comes from a genuine place. I have a fucking college degree in communication studies and 20 years of conflict resolution with families and businesses. I'm the real fucking deal. scholarly wise offline. I have a whole different life offline, y'all. Everything I say online comes from a real fucking life offline. This is what I offer, and I offer it humbly. Appreciate that, Andre Lawrence. And I offer this humbly. But I'm not going to allow you to police my social media. If my social media is a deal breaker, then I don't want the deal. I'm gonna smoke weed on camera. I'm gonna say shit that might make people uncomfortable, but it's not because I hate you. It's because whatever I'm saying needs to be said out of love of my people who haven't gotten enough love. And if that's a deal breaker to you, then I don't want this deal. And I walked away from the table. This deal can really solidify my business, breakthrough advocacy services, something that I've been really working at. I mean, giving my heart and my soul to. This deal can make or break, nothing can break it, but it can really make the shit. But I walked away because I'm not going to allow you to get in the way of my people. You know what my dad taught me? My dad taught me all money ain't good money. And I listened to my father to this day. I was on the phone with my dad early today. My father talk, I'm listening. But you know what ended up happening? That place called me back. And I had my first official meeting with contracted meeting with them a couple weeks ago. And I'm lined up for ongoing consulting services. You know why? Because they respected me for standing my ground and who I am. The biggest deal in my offline business so far came from standing my ground and who I am. And I have another deal I'm right there at that I start next month, where I'm gonna be working with players in the NFL on some things. Not directly with the NFL, but close enough. Appreciate that, Aries. A new Don. I appreciate that. I have another deal working with, so I'm saying that to say these aren't things that are happening. I'm talking now. These are things that I've been working on for months. But these now I can talk because it's already happened. But it came after my social media, my YouTube, all this shit was vetted. And yeah, do I say things that the mainstream will cringe at? Yeah, most definitely. If you're a mainstream nigga, then we're just not the ones that can work together, and I'm fine with that. I'm still gonna take care of myself and still take care of my wife. Do you know how many times I've been rent due, car note due, and I got $6 in my account, and the shit come through somehow, Nigga, I'm fine. When you got faith in yourself, when you got faith in God, it ain't about opening no fucking Bible. And if the Bible's the way you got to go, then go that direction. Whatever your spirituality is. And for me, it's not even all about the cards. I'm a card reader, but I don't pull out the cards for everything. Spirit talks. You just got to trust that when your spirit say go left, your bitch ass just better go left. When your spirit say go right, your bitch ass better go right. That's all. How much do I charge for a beat? Inbox me, info@DwannB.com. I got sample packs up right now on, if you just want some of my drum patterns, I got sample packs on DwannB.com right now. Go download, I got 3 sample packs, funk, soul, and Afrobeat. Go download all 3 of my sample packs. But I don't say this shit to brag. I say it, and I don't say it to say I'm perfect. I'm 43. It took me a long time to really understand some of this stuff. I can't say I would have made, well, I've always drawn a hard line at social media. Even when I was at my last job, you don't get to fucking manage my social media. I'll fucking eat some fucking top ramen 7 days a week before you manage what the fuck I say. Eddie Val said tarot cards, astrology says is not of God. Eddie Val, if those things are not of God, then why does the Bible have a book called the Book of Numbers? You know the Book of Numbers is astrology, right? And that's in your Bible. Jesus, the Son, had 12 disciples. And each disciple represented a zodiac. Each face card in the card on Cardology represents one of the 12 disciples. 12 face cards, 12 disciples in the Bible. 4 sweets, the 4 wise men. Ooh, did I just show you your Bible's an astrological calendar that corresponds with the cards? Don't fuck with me, nigga. I'm born and raised in a church. I'm not like a lot of you See, a lot of these motherfuckers was raised in church, and then the minute y'all turned 18 and your mama stopped making you go to church, y'all stopped going to church. Not me. I was a good old boy. I went to church, and when I turned 18 and went to college, I stayed in church. And I played the drums in church until I was 33. Kind of like Jesus. I left at 33. 33 is when I stopped playing the drums in church. I know that Bible like a motherfucker. You're right. He who says one book knows none. Right. What's up, Larry Smith? That nigga Larry Smith, that nigga teeth, boy. I'll see Larry Smith up in the chat, then I won't see that nigga for like 6 months. Then I don't know where Larry Smith's teeth will pop up in the chat. Salute to you, brother. That's right, G. But I brought that, I don't talk about my offline much because I have a whole different life offline. Like my readings, I don't talk about that. I love reading. Like my favorite thing to do is read people. I love reading because I love helping. I come from my website, Breakthrough Advocacy Services, is down now, but I started as a 14-year-old tutor in Watts at King Drew Medical Center in 1995. I would come to the hood to tutor when I was 14. Work with my doctor, because my doctor is my mentor. My doctor Dr. Robinson is my all in all. I meant to call him today too. Shit. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. But Dr. Robinson is my all in all. I love Dr. Robinson. And so anything Dr. Robinson needed, I was there. So he asked me to be a tutor, be a teenage counselor. I did it because my doctor wanted me to do it. And that's when my life helping people started. That shit evolved into reading cards later. When I learned how to read cards, I had already written, y'all know I wrote 2 books, right? Well, one is a reader. They're both readers. One is it's more of a reader. It's like a 22-page reader. The other one is a 72-page little small book on Amazon. Tell it like it is, The Art of Loving Communication. I wrote a book on how to communicate. Matter of fact, I'm going to write a workbook now. Come to think about it, I think for this contract I have another book I haven't finished yet, a book on workplace communication. Let me finish this book. I'm glad I'm thinking about it. I'm going to finish this book on workplace communication. And that's going to be part of, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking. Well, anyway, I wrote 2 books before I learned how to read cards. When I learned how to read cards, for me, my years working mental health fucked my head up. It really fucked my head up in a lot of ways. Because I worked here in South Central LA with these kids, both being a basketball coach and being a behavior specialist. And my primary area zone I worked was South Central LA before gentrification. From the jungles to the Nickerson Gardens to the Imperial Courts to the Pueblos, downtown LA, Inglewood, Watts, Willowbrook. That was my assigned area. And I always had a caseload of 13 to 18 children. And I'm talking about victims of child molestation. The kids that were in gangs were the least of my worries. Victims of all kinds of trauma. And so I was elbows deep in trauma 5 days a week. The reason why I didn't really get really heavy on YouTube till 2020 is because I wanted to do YouTube in 2011. And if you look on this channel, I got some stuff from back in 2011, but I would do like 2 videos and stop. It was just, I was elbows deep in some shit, and it got so bad, I felt guilty for feeling good. Have you ever gotten there, chat room? Have you ever got to the point to where you feel guilty for feeling good? That's what working elbows deep in mental health did to me. Got me feeling guilty for feeling good. And like my only happy place would be on stage when I would crack. So I got so depressed, like comedy was like my only relief. I would get on stage, and every time I get on stage, I'm making 200 people laugh that I don't know. And so I would have work days. I remember, I'll tell you, I'll give you one day in particular. And I told the story a long, long time ago on the channel. Appreciate that, Archer Lee. No, you can ask a question anytime, brother. But it got so bad. I remember this was one day at work. This was 2000, about 10 years ago, 2014, about 10 years ago now. Because we're in December. My low point was December 28th, 2014. That day is coming. I had to leave my job for a week, and me and my wife went to Sedona for a week. And Sedona cleared my mind, and it helped me start to go in the other direction. Damn, it's crazy. It's about 10 years ago this week, because it was like Christmas week. It was Christmas week, 2014. I had a comedy show. I have a show at the Comedy Union on Pico and La Brea. If you've ever heard about the Comedy Union, it was one of the last black-owned comedy clubs in LA. That's where I got my comedy start. All right, it's a Friday night. Damn, today's Friday. It's crazy. A lot of parallels going on. I don't know, it's crazy because most of my last job I forgot. Like, you see how good my memory is. I don't remember 99% of my old job. But this story is coming back right now, so it must be meant for me to tell the story because the story is coming back. I'm on the way to the Comedy Union. At the time, I'm leaving here. I'm going down. I left my parents' house. I'm going down La Brea. Just as I get to Washington, I get a call from one of these kids that I work with. They're in a motel. This kid that did some crazy shit. He was fucking with he was like a little 13-year-old little menace. He did some shit. This kid stole a gun from one of the niggas on the block, one of them gang member niggas on the block. This little nigga stole a gun from him. I'm like, hold on, nigga, you stole a nigga gun on the block? So my company, we got the family a week in a motel just to get away from the house because they would have fucked that kid up. So we got him a week in a motel, the family, so the street politics could be worked out. He got somebody, I don't know what happened, but his brother got it. Whatever street shit happened, they worked it out. Well, anyway, they had to leave overnight, so they didn't have any food. The little food that they had was in their refrigerator, and they had to leave. So this kid calls me. He says, we moved these kids like on Tuesday. This is a Friday. This kid calls me. He said, Dwann, I'm hungry. I need some food. I said, your mama don't have no food? And his mama, this kid's mama wasn't shit. This kid's mama wasn't shit. So I'm like, your mama ain't got nothing? The mama used to sell the EBT card and get her own shit. Be like, fuck them kids. This kid used to have to work to get, this kid was 11, but he used to have to work to buy his own socks and underwear. He used to have to sell candy. That's how he bought his own stuff. So he calls me hungry. And I was like, your mama don't have anything? He said, we haven't eaten since Wednesday. Mind you, I'm on the way to a comedy show. I gotta make 160 people laugh in about 45 minutes to an hour. So I said, damn, what do I do? Luckily, where this kid's motel was, it was on Washington and like Arlington. So if you know LA, that's about 2 miles, mile and a half down from La Brea. And there was like a Little Caesars Pizza on Washington and like, I think that was Western. And you know how Little Caesars got them hot and ready pizzas? I make a right turn. I go to Little Caesars. I get them 4 hot and ready pizzas. And I take it back to them. And then the comedy club calling me, Dwann, where you at? You on stage next. I hightail to the comedy club, get on stage, and I smashed that motherfucker. I mean, I was hurting, but I used all that pain as fuck it. See, energy can be transmuted. Just because you feel a certain energy don't mean that energy has to dominate you. You can take that energy that you feel and transmute it into something else. And that's what I did. I transmuted that pain into laughter. So I said that to say, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to like us as a people, when it comes down to you gotta follow your heart, you gotta follow your spirit, and whatever you're going through now is gonna be something that you can use in the future for your greater good. So, and that's how we are as a people. That's how we are as a people. So I said that to say, that's the grind I took to get to where the fuck I'm going. This deal that I have, this training that I'm doing for one of the largest unions in the country, that came, the reason why I was able to tell them, you don't have the power to manage my social media, and I'm gonna get it how I get it regardless of you. That comes from going through that bullshit. So at the end of the day, whatever bullshit you going through, that hurt, that's hard, that's painful, if you lean into it, that shit's gonna make you motherfucking resilient. All right? So don't judge yourself from where you are. Just make sure you stick to your principles. That's the thing. Get you some principles and stick to them. And watch the world around you bend to that. Because everybody respects real, even when they don't like it. Yeah, I still do stand-up, Deuce. I'm hosting tomorrow at the Hidden History Museum. Anybody who's ever been to the Hidden... I got a lot of different things that I'm good at. Just... if you've ever been to the Hidden History Museum, it's a funny show in L.A., and I host the motherfucker. Because I'm a funny motherfucker when I choose to be. When I choose to teach, I teach. But I'm a different nigga on stage. I'm not teaching on stage, nigga. I'm cracking jokes. Jay Jimerson sent me on stage in Dallas. I appreciate Jay Jimerson. Jay Jimerson came to my show in Austin and in Dallas. Hey, Jay Jimerson, I'm going to be out there in Houston pretty soon. Sometime before the summer. I'm going to throw a show with Larry out there in Houston. I'm going to need you to come to that show, Jay Jimerson. Archie Lee has ever dealt with a block on self? Hell yeah, nigga. Nigga, I had like a 7-year creative block. You know what helped me get over my creative block? Mushrooms. Some of these things right here. Okay, yeah, Jay Jimerson. I'm going to do a show. Yeah, I had a 7-year creative block. That job I just finished telling y'all about, that was a major reason. I couldn't feel joy. I was too busy elbows deep working with them kids. And that story I just told y'all, think about this. That was one of 17 kids that I was responsible for. Do you know what happened after I went on stage and told them jokes? I had to go right back to work the next day and hear a kid tell me that he was molested by his mother's friend and his mother didn't do anything about it. That was my reward. The next day I had to deal with the kid who had gotten molested and his mother knew the perpetrator. It was her mother's boyfriend and her mother didn't do anything about it. And I had to be the one that reported this shit to Child and Family Services. That was the next day at work. And you know, later on that day, I had to go see my other kid whose mother had put him, he has like a scar on his arm because she had a high-speed chase from the police and got in a car accident and he flew out the fucking car, lived, but he has like a trauma that he had, and I used to work with him on behaviors when he was triggered from that accident from his mom. That was the other kid that I had. And then the next kid that I had was a little smart little blab. Man, this kid's name was, well, I can't say his name. I'm still under HIPAA. I still have a HIPAA code to honor, so I'm not going to say the kid's name. But I used to, the most dramatic part of that job, I would have these very smart kids, and they would be just locked away in special education. That shit hurt the most. That's when I became an IEP advocate. Advocating on getting kids out of special needs classes. So, yeah, no. Yeah, I had a 7-year creative block. I told y'all the roast me story, didn't I? My longtime listeners know the roast me story. But do y'all know the roast me story? A lot of y'all knew her. Press the number 1 if you know that show Roast Me on All Dev Digital. Press the number 1. Press the number 1 if you know about that show Roast Me. Well, let me tell you the origin story of that. 2015. I'm living right here where I live now. I get a call, because remember I told you that story was 2014, December 2014. Beginning of 2015, I was doing like some stuff with All Dev Digital, 14, 15, but they was doing bullshit. They would have like the few things that I did, they would have me as this old fat nigga doing some old fat goofy shit. I wasn't All Dev Digital, fuck you. I'm not gonna be the fat goofy nigga. Even back then, I'm Dwann fucking Brown. I have an ego. I know who the fuck I am, and I'm not gonna play this fucking role. So I'm getting calls from All Dev Digital, whatever. So I get a call later on that year from Teddy Ray. I get a call, Jay Jimmons, you remember the story? I get a call from Teddy Ray. Teddy Ray's my guy. Hey, Dwann, it's this new show I'm doing on All Dev called Roast Me. Come on down. And Teddy, because on Facebook, we used to be clowning. And I still got him on my Facebook stories. If you look at my Facebook 2014, Teddy called me. He called Craig. He called Larry Goodwell. You know my man Larry. You know Larry that be calling into the show? What's up, Black Voltron? Yeah. Come on down to the museum, brother. Black Voltron. Hell yeah, I appreciate that. But appreciate the super chat. And much respect to you. What's up, Helen? So Teddy Ray called me, and I'm dealing with all these working with these kids. I'm depressed, dog. Depressed. And I did not feel funny. I just didn't feel funny. So yes, on one hand, I was angry with All Deaf Digital. I didn't want to do anything with them anymore. But the truth is, I can't blame them. I got to look in the mirror. You always got to look in the mirror. And I told Teddy no. Because on one hand, I was thinking I just took off of work last week for a bullshit ass sketch of All Deaf Digital. Fuck that. But really, that was an excuse. I had like 180 hours at work of time of PTO. Because I wasn't using it because I was fucking depressed. I had 180 hours of PTO. And I was about 395 pounds. Teddy was still bigger than me. And I told Teddy no. And then he was like, well, what about Larry? Larry had just moved back to Houston. Larry had just moved back to Houston 2 weeks prior to that. What's up, Freaking Rely Rouse podcast? No, I will not be going back to that show, but I wish everybody great. Everybody's, everything is cool, but nah, I just moved in a different direction. No disrespect to anybody. But I told Teddy Ray no. But that's because I was depressed. I didn't think I was funny. I didn't think I was, I didn't, I didn't feel worthy to have fun. That job had my head fucked up. And I started therapy in October 2015. Teddy Ray sent me that call. It was either August or September 2015. That was when Teddy Ray sent that call. And I didn't feel good about myself. So I told Teddy no. And all of my friends that said yes, Brent Taylor, everybody, let's look at the numbers. All them niggas got over 100,000 Instagram subscribers and all them YouTube channels are doing well. I was right there, but I said no. But at the end of the day, I didn't regret that decision right away. I started regretting that decision around 2018 when I saw how big that show had gotten. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, to this day, I've never seen an episode of Roast Me. I only saw like one episode. I saw like one compilation episode, like at the end of one of the seasons where they kind of put everything together. But to this day, I've never seen an episode of Roast Me. I ain't watching that shit. Partially because when I was ready to go back and do it, Teddy Ray had gotten snaked out of that. It wasn't Teddy's show no more. And a couple of the people who had decisions on who to book there, I'm not even gonna go into the history I got with some of the guys there. That would just be a whole nother story. I got so many stories. You niggas, put it like this: if I wanted this channel to be a gossip channel, I know everybody, and everybody trusts me. I know a lot. But I'm not even going to go into that story because this isn't a gossip channel. But I could have hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers if I just told my stories. I wouldn't even have to tell about. I wouldn't even have to tell other people's stories. I could just tell my stories. But think about this. Most people on earth don't even know me as a comedian. And I teach so much, most people don't even see me as a comedian because I teach so much. But I got a whole, and people in the drumming world don't see me as a teacher. People in the teaching world don't see me as a drummer. People in the YouTube world don't see my business shit that goes on. But that's how life is. Keep it that way. Compartmentalize things. But yeah, there's a lot I could say about some of the stuff that happened with me not getting on Roast Me when I was ready to get on. But ultimately, the ultimate reason I don't need to go there and call people out and all that stuff is because that just wasn't for me. Roast me, dad jokes, all that stuff, that just wasn't for me. Hey, Tyson Garcia, this is the reason why I thought about bringing it up, because I was going to say it, and if I said it, I know your mama would have been listening, and your mama like gossip. Gossip make your mama's nipples hard. So I thought about saying it so I could make your mama's nipples hard, Tyson Garcia, and suck them motherfuckers on your bed when you out at work at the grocery store, cleaning up aisle 3. I was going to be sitting on your bed sucking your mama's titties. That's why I was going to say it, just to make her titties hard, nigga. Back to what I was talking about. So, but ultimately, Roast Me, that whole world, that just wasn't for me. Like that Miles Davis picture, man, you know how much I love jazz? I spent $300 on that picture back when I was 18. I didn't have no fucking $300 as an 18-year-old, but that picture made my heart skip a beat. I spent $300 on that back in 1999 when I was an 18-year-old, had just gotten my first job. I think my check was $300. It was a part-time job. I think my check was $300. But I'm glad I bought that too. He said Roast Me got weird. Yeah, I never got into Roast Me. But ultimately, everything worked out. That just wasn't my route. My route was over here. Their route was over there. So it's not even worth even talking about who did what and this, all that. Ultimately, everybody got their own thing. How did I know I wanted to be a comic? Making people laugh is easy to me. And when I was in college, my professor told me I should do comedy based on all my debates. I was on the debate team in college. And one of my professors, this white lady named Miss Nancy Grass Hermert. Nancy Grass was her name. A white lesbian lady. My best college professor. She saw my ability to speak, and I would be in debates, and I would do. You know, every time I gave a speech, I'd make everybody laugh. And she told me I should do it, and I told her no because when I was in college, I was a Democrat good Negro. Y'all know how them good Negroes are. Like, I'm not gonna do comedy. I have a college degree. I'm going to go and do business. I want to be a consultant, and I'm not going to use my ability to speak to make people laugh. I'm going to be a consultant. I was on some I'm in college ass nigga shit, you know? Life brings about a change if you just keep growing and humble yourself. So I didn't do comedy for a long time. But in 2009, and I was thinking about it, I said, okay. You know that book that I wrote, No Time to Waste? I wrote a book called No Time to Waste. It used to be, I'm going to put it up on DwannB.com pretty soon. But I wrote a book called No Time to Waste. How to find your inner love and like your talents. And in that book I talked about how I found my talents. And somebody say you don't see comedy for me. That's because you never seen me on stage. Jay Jimerson seen me on stage and shit. If you don't see comedy for me, that means you've never seen me on stage. I got a very good reputation in the comedy world. But anyway, put it like this. Your favorite comics that you see out there, they all respect me on that stage. Um, you never heard of me? Yeah. And you've never heard of 90% of the musicians that are behind the music that you listen to. So, in that book, I talk about it's two things you have to do. On one page, you have to write everything you're really good at down. On the other page, you got to write everything that comes easy to you. And comedy kept making people laugh, kept coming up. So I'm out with this chick one day, and she's telling me I just had my high school reunion, and one of my homegirls from high school, we just out hanging out. It wasn't no real crazy shit, but we was hanging out, and I had her dying laughing. And she was like, "You should do comedy." And I was like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I'm gonna do it one day. I'm over here big dick, and you know how niggas do. You know how niggas do, especially when you're in your 20s. Yeah, I'm gonna do comedy one day. Yeah, I do it one day. Yeah. I'm gonna do it one day." She's like, "For real, you gonna do comedy?" I was like, "Yeah, I do it. She called up somebody, and if y'all don't know if you know this guy, but he's very funny. He's on BET. It's a comedian named Barry Brewer. Barry Brewer used to be on All Def Digital, but he's also he's had shows on BET. Press number one if you know who Barry Brewer is. So I don't know who Barry is. She's like, "Oh, you gonna do comedy one day?" She's like, "Okay." She calls up somebody. She's like, "I got a homeboy here. He said he wanna do comedy here." And she passed him the phone. And he was like, "Oh, you wanna do comedy? That's what's up. Come down to the comedy union next week and I got you." And I was like, "Oh shit." And it's like that shit put me on the spot. I got put on the spot. And so at that point, I had to either shit or get off the pot. And I didn't want to look like a hoe ass nigga in front of this chick. And so I was like, shit, I gotta do it now. I don't want to look like a hoe ass nigga. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I did it. And my first night on stage, Larry Goodwell was there. That's where I met Larry. That's when I met London Brown from that show, Raising Canaan. That's where I met Big Ja. They were all there my first night on stage. That's where I met Slink Johnson. We were all there together on my first night on stage. That's where I met them, my first night on stage. And then that's ultimately where I met Craig. That's where I met everybody, like from all the digital that you know of, like To Hear More, Daphne Springs. Later on, a few years later, David Lucas, Teddy Ray, Brent. When I started hosting at the Comedy Union, I started hosting. I was only been doing comedy for like 11 months. I took over the show. Brent Taylor was my DJ. He would DJ, and Teddy Ray would come in. Teddy Ray was just getting started in comedy, and Teddy Ray would come down. Dwann, you got some time? Yeah, Boris, your gift makes room for you. What's up, Wyland? Yeah, like, that's how we all met. Somebody said, what's the beef with Todd? Why you keep bringing up Todd? I love Todd. Todd, my guy. Like, did Todd say something about me or something? Nah. I know, for a matter of fact, I know Todd didn't say nothing about me, man. Todd cool as fuck. I love Todd. I saw Todd at the Comedy Store, like, what, 2 months ago? We talked for a little bit, man. I got big love for Todd. Shit, I got big love for Todd. Snaps, all them niggas. I don't do that show anymore. I've just moved on from that show. I want everybody to be successful. I'll never, man. I want everybody to win. But that's how we all met. And it's just crazy just looking at, I gotta hit my man CP up, man. CP probably my favorite comic, man. It's like, I didn't know CP from back then, but, you know, I love watching CP do what he do. I did his podcast a few times. I gotta have him on mine. Yeah, CP funny motherfucker. Man, salute to CP, man. So, Boris Shop. Yeah, it's just like you just gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta do what you gotta do, people. But you gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself to the point to where you don't take no shit. You gotta love yourself to the point to where you don't take no shit from nobody when it comes to your principles. Clayton Thomas, that's my guy. That's what's up, Warner. And Marcus, I love. Man, Clayton Thomas is my guy. I love Clayton. That's my nigga right there. Oh, that's what's up, Jay Jemison. Let me know if you're gonna go up to the Improv. I'll meet you up there, Jay Jemison, when you come out to Cali. Yeah, Clay's my guy. This comedy world is small. Y'all never know. But I don't see. For me, comedy was always. I never wanted to be Richard Pryor. That's the thing with me in comedy. I didn't. I never got into comedy to be Richard Pryor, to be Kevin Hart or Cat Williams, or anybody. I got into comedy because well, y'all know the honest God truth. On top of being put on the spot, going back to my college professor. My college professor, Miss Nancy, told me comedy is the toughest form of public speech. And if you want to be a great public speaker, do comedy, because nothing's harder than making people laugh on demand. And if you can master making people laugh on demand, you can speak in any way, form, shape, or whatever. And she was right. She was right. I got into comedy to master making people laugh on demand. I'm never to be a comic. I don't want to be a full-time comic. Do you know the fucking life a full-time comic lives is very lonely. I got a wife that I love. I don't want no fucking comedy career. That's a very lonely life. But I love making people laugh. And it's easy for me. And I love being live. As much as I like talking to you guys to here, I love live. Like live, when you got 200 people there in front of you, and my comedy's improv. I like to improv my comedy off the top of my head. Let's go. Top of my head, let's go. I improv my shit. That's comedy is free. It's like, for me, comedy is my jazz. It's my form of jazz. It's my form of creative expression. I was never a good enough drummer to play jazz. You know what I mean? Like, jazz was always too hard for me I played jazz. I play in jazz band, but jazz was always just too musically sophisticated. It was just too the speed, the hand speed it takes to play in cut time. I play some jazz, but jazz just, that's why I have so much, the reason why I speak the way I speak on music, I got such a reverence for jazz musicians, because as a drummer, I know what it takes to be a jazz musician, and that shit is hard. So as a drummer, I never reached the heights of a jazz musician. But my comedy, yeah, I treat my comedy the way I would have treated the drums on jazz. Improvisation every night. Let's go. You said what songs from Tower of Power would I recommend? Their whole Tower of Power album. Get that whole album. Get their greatest hits. But the whole Tower of Power album, This Time Is Real, You're Still a Young Man, What Is Hip. They have another song on Urban Renewal called There's Only So Much Oil in the Earth. That's a great Tower of Power song. There's only so much oil in the ground. You ought to be having fun. That was before Lenny Williams got with the group. You ought to be having fun. I love that song by Tower of Power. It's just a fun song. You ought to be having fun. You're still a young man. I don't know of any pro growers. Jazz guitarist, Wes Montgomery is just the standard in jazz guitar. You got to start with Wes Montgomery and go from there. But I treat my comedy the same way I do, because I'm not a full-time comedian. The comedy is what I do for fun. But when I go host at the Hidden History Museum tomorrow, this shit's about to be stupid funny, y'all. But my comedy is what I take. I do business seminars. I spoke at Top Golf last year. I spoke at Sony Music last year. And I'm so glad I got into comedy, because like when I do these speeches at Top Golf and places like that, I always integrate funny. It's just, yeah. You see here, the Tower of Power shut the OJs down here. I'll tell you who shut the Tower. I'll tell you who shut Tower of Power down one time at the Hollywood Bowl. Me and my wife went to Hollywood Bowl, and Tower of Power I really wanted to see. Like they were like the main reason why I wanted to go. It was a Smooth Summer Jazz Festival. I think it was 2009, 2010. I was like, I'm ready. Tower of Power was up second. No, they were up third. Tower of Power was up third. It was 4 acts. I don't know who the first act was. The last 2 acts was Tower of Power and Boney James. But do you know who the second act was? George Duke. And George Duke came out playing his jazz, but then when he went into the funk and he went into Dookie Stick, oh. When George Duke hit us with Dookie Stick, it just, when he went doom, 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 doom. And then after he did Dookie Stick, he went into jam. Doom, 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 doom. Boom. Best. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, doom. Doom, 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 doom. Nigga, George Duke shut the Hollywood Bowl down. I mean, all the black, everybody just got up. I ain't never seen before nor since. The way we was just, because the Smooth Summer Jazz Festival is a mixture. It's still 70% black back then, but it was like 20% white, 10%, 5% Asian, 5% black, Mexican, 70% black. And everybody was chilling, but when George Duke went into jam, doom, 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 nigga, you just saw this sea of niggas. And the Hollywood Bowl see 18,000 people. And it's sold out. Out of the 18,000 people there, it's 13,600 niggas. It's just a sea of niggas rise. And we doom, 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 doom. I was like, I ain't dog. Nigga. Tower of Power came on after that, and the energy was gone. George Duke, second act of the day of a 4-act show, took all of the energy. And Tower of Power couldn't do nothing with it. And Dave Kaz or David Seville, Bernie James or whatever white boy it was, wasn't nothing left. The crowd had already nutted. There wasn't nothing left. What's up, Mr. Ishmael? Yeah, comedy's harder than teaching, because nobody has expectations of teachers. You know, you teach, even if you're not a good teacher, people are still going to sit and listen. Comedy, if you ain't good, they're going to fucking boo you. There's a difference. Tyrone, you got to look up George Duke for his funk and his jazz. George Duke is just amazing. Yeah, clearly, I think that is Too Short, Let It Roll. Let Me Roll, yeah. I think so. If I got the name of the song right. Doom, 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 doom. A lot of hip hop sample jam. Yeah. But shit, I've been on here 2 hours. I've give you niggas 4 hours of content this week, today. I mean, just not this week, today. Go to intellectualpower.net, man. This is just supposed to be a little Q&A. I've been on here 2.5 hours. I'm about to smoke this last blunt of the night and listen to some motherfucking music. Matter of fact, I think I'm about to listen to some, George Duke. I think I'm about to listen to some George Duke right now. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. Remember, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those who wouldn't pick up the game. Appreciate everybody, all the super chats and all that shit. But I'll holler at y'all.